I'm Liberty and today I'll be painting a beautiful picture of a water lily. Now I have several paintbrushes here. I will be using some of them, others are just there to show you which ones I do use. Here is one you could use for sky or water, it matters how big the show of the picture is. Here's another one you could use for fairly smaller parts of water or sky. And we have a few tittle ones you can use for whatever you need to use. Then we have a few really small ones which are for like finishing touches or effects, and you could use them for teeny little areas in bodies or whatever. So I could use tube paints, but today I'll be using some little watercolour ones. I have a pot of water here and I have a stand which has different things you can put it on for whatever. I have a sheet here for dabbing your cloth. It's very important that you have a very watery paint, but you must make sure it's not too watery, otherwise it will drip down. So first I'm going to start with a water, just a quick brush. You just wet the paper. It's important that you don't use a lot of water, otherwise it will make the paper all fluffy. So first we're going to start. I'm going to put all my paintbrushes in. I'm going to start on the water lily. I'm going to use a small brush which is like a square shape. So as I was saying, make sure it's nice and watery, not too thick. We'll start on the petals and work our way in. Nice neat strokes working the way into the middle. You could make it a darker colour pink, but today I'll use what it is. And now the middle part, it's very important that you remember should be yellow, because that's what the pollen is. So next you work your way around to the other side. Make sure you have a nice colour pink. Whatever colour you want. You could get a purple lily, but I like to use pink because all the time I see them, they're mostly pink. So next, once you're done with that, make sure it's nice and dry. If you do get it too wet and it drips down, that's no big deal because the water will stop it, and it's always important to work from top to bottom, because then if you work from the bottom up, all the paint which you've just done on this line will fall down onto the stuff which might have been very good. So I usually use watercolours, though I have tried oil paints before. I've never done acrylics, though I like to stick to the one which I first learned, and then when I get better I'll work myself up. So if you want to stop now to work on your mistakes, always make sure that the top area is nicely done, otherwise while you're trying to dry that you could make it all fall down. It might be wise to wait till it's all dripped down and then wait for it to dry and rub it off. Now I'm going to clean it up, the mess that you made. Some artists make the mistakes bigger than others. Others are fantastic, but some people sometimes do it. I've known many artists which make the mistakes. So here's the mistake. It's just started dripping. We'll start at the bottom, work our way up, wipe it off. So swipe, wipe. And if the water runs down, that's even better, because then it can get into the drips, and when that dries, all of that stuff will go away. Now, once you've wiped it off, get one which is slightly wet, not too wet, otherwise the water will drip down. Now it's slightly wet, you just wipe it off, there's the water, and it will look like the whitewash. Okay, next we'll start on the yellow pollen. Just get a little off it, make sure you put it wet inside, so when you need to get more, your brush won't be wet when you dip it in. Get the pollen and work in the middle or up to down. I may put a little bit more on to get the teeny bit of orange in the colour. Now it's starting to look like pollen in real life. So now we're going to start on our green lily pads. I'm going to do a greenish brown because sometimes the mud in the water makes it go green and brown. So we'll wet our paint and then start it, and we'll get some of the green. Wash your paintbrush. It's always important that you don't mix the colours while you're painting. We'll get a nice aqua-ish green. Okay, so now we're ready to paint them. I'm going to take a little of the green. So I'm doing a few strokes on the green. And then once it's dried, we'll put on a little of the brown for special effects. I like to do special effects of shadows or the dark colour in it. You could have a light part on a rose petal and then this dark part in the shadowy area. So now we're going to do the last lily pad. Long, big strokes, as I say, works the best. Okay, we have 2 lily pads which are ready for brown effects. Now I'm going to take a small brush for special effects or teeny parts. Dab it a little bit and then we're going to go into the brown. Now the best thing to do is make sure your tip is quite watery. So I'm just going to go in a tad and then when it comes it should drip down. I'm going to do around the petal of the lily so it's like a dark shade. And then we could even add a little bit of dark black so it could show. But for now we're just going to do this and then on marks like here we'll do teeny bits like that. Okay, so now we've done the little dots, I'm going to start spreading it out. You can see that it's dried around the corner, which is good. It leaves a mark. So now while the other lilies are drying, we're going to do these, and then once these are done, you could do different designs on the other lily pads. I might stick to them, I might not. You may make bigger splashes of the brown, if not, keep to the smaller ones. So this is how the brown effects are looking now. See, it looks like smudged raindrops have stained into the green lily pads. Now next we're going to start on the little shadows under the petals. We'll get the same brown, to make sure it's quite thick though watery still. Gonna go under it, like that. Very, very slow. Now it looks like the rain's fallen off the petal and under into the shadowy area in the little creek. We'll do this one here on this lily pad. Could make it lighter, but I would like it dark this time. There, now that's done. We're going to see if the other lily pads are ready for their little parts. Yep, they're ready. So now I'm going to take a different brush to see if it makes a different style. Now we're going to use a lighter but darker also different because the brown we were using was quite a greyish colour. So now we're going to go onto this little reddish brown. It's quite brown but also red, so that's also good for other things you could use. Now we're going to go using a little blotch here. Make sure it's a dark colour and then we're going to let it dry for a few seconds and then smudge it out. So now we're going to get a different brush, the square brush, and we're going to go like this. Just sort of bring it out. And if there are lighter parts than others, that doesn't matter because it will still make a beautiful effect. Now you must think more natural of what the nature would have been. The raindrops falling, where would it have gone? It could have slipped off, so we're going to make a little mark falling into it and then a little ripple of the brown. I'm going to use a different brush now. We'll go on to this one. Dry it a little bit. So we'll get the brown again, get a little one, and make sure it's quite watery so it can run down. We're going to do a little blob there, And then we're going to get the water and hopefully it will drip down into the direction we want. If it doesn't, we can just start from scratch. So now it's worked out perfectly where the water's dripped down and there's a little ripple. And when we start on the blue, it will make the excellent when it squishes all the water and the brown together. So next we'll start on the raindrop there. I'm going to get a little of it. I'm going to start here, work my way round like that. Now once you're done with that, you could even add drops of where the water splashed against it. So I'm going to take a little of the brown paint. I'm going to make these teeny marks where the water's splashing against it. Now in the water, because we said it was brown and there's raindrops falling off it, we need to add a teeny bit of the brown water. So once we're done here, we'll go on to the blue water and the paint will nearly be done. There could be big splashes or little splashes when you come to it. And next we'll go on to the next one of the other lily pads. We're going to go all the way around it because when you usually see it, you see either a brown moss or a green moss. I'm going to do a green moss. I'm going to take this green, which is quite dark. If there's mixed colours on top of your paints from the last time you used it, don't worry, just carry on stirring, like stirring motions in the paint and it will soon wear on. But it was good that I had some brown paint on top because now it looks like a greenish brown moss. So I'm going to do a circular motion of the moss and then for another special effect on a special effect, we'll go inside like this. Then here comes the special effect. Get the very, very tip of your paintbrush and then do this sort of zigzag motion of like a moss. If it's not dark enough, just get another little blob of the paint and do the zigzag again. Now if that green still isn't enough and it doesn't show up around the corner, just get a little bit of brown and go on top of the zigzag. The lily pad. When you look at nature in the eye of nature, you'll actually see the beauty of it. Other people just pass it and find paintings a pink. There, so now that's done, we'll go on to other ones, or we could just start doing splashes again. But I'm going to do another moss. Now I'm going to do this part like a squiggly motion there, because moss can be in all types of different angles. You could do all your lily pads or not. So if the water does run out in your paints, just put a little bit more in. So now we're going to do the special effect on our big lump of moss. Zigzag motion. And if it does get too dark, just dab it with your cloth and it will make it look realistic. There, now that does look proper. So now we're going to move on to the water. I'm going to take a smaller brush for the water strokes. Mix the paint, make sure it's quite watery. If it's not watery, make sure you dab it back into there and mix it up. Then the paint on the brush will fall into the water. And it doesn't matter if it gets dark, because the bottom line of the water, if you start at the top, it will all fall down and then you can use that again, carry it on the bottom. There. This is the finishing result of our paint. I'm Liberty, thanks for watching.